Hello again there folks, Lone Adventurer here. Thank you very much for stumbling your way upon my channel and joining me for this adventure. Today we are going to be playing Grimscar. This is part 2 of my playthrough of Grimscar. If you would like to start from part 1, there'll be a link up in the corner of the screen right about now and in the description down below. Before we go any further, can I ask you to consider subscribing to my channel, hitting the bell notification icon so that you find out when I release more adventures just like this one. So it's been a little while since I played the first part of my Grimscar playthrough. Life got in the way, or, well, I was enjoying life, but life prevented me from recording this any sooner than I have. But we're back here now, and that's what counts. And really, we want to get straight into it here, because most of the first video was looking at the game, doing character creation, and we didn't do a huge amount of play. In fact, we only went to 2 locations on our current foray into the Dark Weald. As a reminder, our character Morn, the glove maker, is on a quest to find some wood for Beric, who is the brain freeze, what you call people who use wood in their job, carpenter. He's the town carpenter. So we need to find one tier 1 quest item in order to fulfill that quest, and then optionally if we come across some iron beach that would be handy as well. So we just need to crack on really. We're here. We are going to stick in this sort of safe-ish zone of standard forest locations. We're not going to be going into the dark forest on this occasion. We're not obviously going to be going beyond the dark forest into the savage forest, because my suspicion is that in our less prepared state, since we are a younger character, or a character that has only recently been created, going into those places would rapidly result in our demise. We might die anyway, because this is a moderately deadly game, I think. So we're going to go into a new location and we're going to see what we find there. So we need a D100 roll here. Here we go. 46. And we found a twisted oak. And this is a permanent location. So I'll pop twisted oak on our little record here. Going to make a little note with a P that is permanent. And what that means is when we go back to the town, this map will reset, and the hanging trees and the fallen scouts that we encountered previously will disappear, essentially. I guess you can imagine that next time you go through that part of the forest, you're going through a slightly different part of that hex. You won't encounter the hanging trees and you'll encounter something else. However, this hex here will now forever and always, as long as we are playing the adventure of Morn the glove maker, will contain a twisted oak. A large oak twists across this space. It is ancient and knotted. You look at it one way and then another, and at each turn see a gnarly face in the bark. You also spot a hole known as a heart chamber. It is large enough for you to reach into. Ooh, if you do, roll on the heart chamber table. If you pass through this hex again, as long as it is a different day, you may search the heart chamber again if you spend 2 points of survival, as it is difficult to locate. Right, so I'm just going to turn to the heart chamber table, and we're going to be rolling a d6. 6. Find a tier quest item that is the level of the tier of the forest. So we have stumbled across exactly what we need. So we have got our wood for Beric. So I've just made a little note that we've got a tier 1 quest item. We could theoretically find more. We're still looking for Iron Beach as well. Or we could go back to town immediately, cash that in, and get another quest. So that might be what we do, because then at least we can see the whole loop. So I think we're going to head back. We're going to head into this location here, because I do wonder how easy it is to find quest items. I think I've had a bit of luck there, but I think ordinarily they're quite tricky to find. 47, is that the same? It's a twisted oak again. Do we only get 1 of each? Okay, we can have 2 of a permanent feature. So we could have another twisted oak here. And I suppose we probably should. So we're going to have another permanent feature here. It's another twisted oak, but that's it for twisted oaks. You can only have 2. So we're going to turn to the heart table again. We're going to roll again. 1, the opposite end. There is an object here, but when you see it, a chill runs down your spine. Roll d6 to see what it is. 1 again. That's got to be bad, right? 1 to 2, the butcher bone knife. See page 115. Ooh. So we found a cursed item. So we found a butcher bone knife, a small skull carved from a splinter of wood, prized from the coffin of the butcher of Gutter Street. The small skull adorns this small bone knife. A radius arm bone was also taken from the coffin, ripped from the skeleton. It was made into a small blade by Garrett Fuller, the carver and father of 2 of the murdered daughters. Oh my goodness. He had hoped to use it to revenge their death, but as he took the blade to the butcher's wife, he found himself driven by a frenzy and peppered her body with 1,000 stab wounds. He was found lying unconscious in a pool of her blood. If you should find this cursed item, then you must take it, cannot discard it, and instead keep it close. If you should kill a humanoid, roll d6. On a 1 to 3, you cannot help yourself and withdraw the knife and keep stabbing it until you collapse, tired, at which point you regain your composure and you lose 2 butcher points. Okay, there you go. Didn't expect that. Right, so I need to make a note somewhere that we've found this crazy butcher bone knife. So we need to check that if we ever kill a humanoid. Right, there we go. And we're going back to town. So I think that is it for our first foray out into the Dark Weald. Back in Grimscar, and we can visit Beric. So we can deliver our tier 1 quest item to Beric, and it is a bundle of green oak wood wrapped in hemp. I'm sure he'd be very glad to receive it. He rewards us with 10 copper coins, taking us up to 18. Or we can spend 1 charm to increase this to 15 copper coins, and we gain 1 reputation. Do I want to spend a charm? I don't think so. But our reputation is going up to 2. It's probably good. We didn't come across some iron beach, so we need to decide what we're going to do now. So I'm just looking at the Citizens Addendum introduction here to remind me who we've got that we can visit. I kind of want to visit someone to see whether we can buy some stuff. We might not be able to, but I want to check it out at least. Alright, so Farnham Ravencloud is the retired soldier who runs the armoury. However, the copper coin cost of the weapons that are available is way above what I've got right now. The best I could do is get a grub axe, but that would cost 30 copper coins, and I've only got 18. Also sells some armour, but the cheapest armour is 40 copper coins. It's quite expensive. Foley Eastley, the market foreman, manages the stalls in the market. You can buy some clothing, which is a lot cheaper, but that just improves warmth, which I guess is important, but I don't really feel like spending my money on that right now. Oh, you can also buy healing balm for 1 copper coin, but we've got 2 healing balms at the moment and 2 rations. Okay, so I think basically we just need to find someone to do a new quest for. I'll make a note, I think, that we did a quest. We've done the quest for Beric on the back here. I don't know if that quest is a one-time. No, I think you can do that as many times as you want and he'll reward you each time. I think we're just going to visit someone random. How about Gifford Hardwick, the resident priest? You know the church well. It's probably the most recognisable structure in town. Its square tower looms above you as you approach. You slowly push open the studded wooden door and enter the cold space. Columns run along the tiled floor and pews line 2 aisles. At the far end, the pulpit is carved out of an ancient tree trunk. The church hasn't been holding services for any of the gods recently, and word is the priest has taken to the bottle. You slowly walk down the central aisle and are surprised when you find a robed figure laying on one of the pews. He slowly rises, and you see that the priest is pale and groggy. Perhaps the rumours were correct. "Yes, what is it?" Gifford says in an unfriendly way. You explain the situation, that you can help if needed. He frowns. "That's brave. It all feels hopeless to me, beyond help." He stumbles away, and you follow him, feeling frustrated, and say so. He spins, anger streaking his face. "You think I haven't tried? Nothing seems to work. No one is listening." He walks towards the altar, beneath a large stained-glass window that depicts the fall of Maxur, a dark figure tumbling from a cliff, only to stand alive at its base uninjured. Gifford falls to his knees. "Even Maxur does not acknowledge our fall, and I thought he above all else would answer our call." You tell him you want to try, and ask, "Is there nothing that can help, or anything you could do?" He pauses, and then points across to an empty alcove set in the stone wall. Quest: find Dantalis stone. Oh, it's a special item. So with these quests for special items, I don't think we can say we can log that as a quest, because then we could spend, countless hours wandering around hoping to come across the special item. That is the place where the Dantalis stone used to rest, but it went missing soon after the curse fell upon us. I have searched but cannot find it. The stone used to anchor this place, as it was taken from the very cliff that Maxur survived hundreds of years ago. I remember the procession that brought it here when I was a child. He seems vacant. It gave people faith in the town. Perhaps if we had it back then. He rises and wanders away into the shadows, mumbling to himself. Oh no, I'm wrong. It's a tier 3 quest item, so quite challenging. We would have to go into the savage forest in order to find that item. Okay, so you can take this on as a standard quest, but we're not going to do that because we don't want to be doing that, going into the most crazy place. Right, so actually, Nerida Greenwood, the sister at the infirmary, I've just scanned ahead and I can see that hers is a tier 1 quest item. The infirmary is in the centre of town. It was once a small wooden structure, but is now a large hall with a garden, which it uses to rehabilitate patients. You see an old man sitting on a bench towards the back in the undergrowth, his arm in a sling. His eyes meet yours and they seem empty. "Hello?" A tense, high-pitched voice distracts you. You have wandered into the garden and see it is Nerida. You explain that you are here to help, appointed by the alderman, and she seems to relax. "I fear you may need my help before you have finished your work. But we do need supplies, of which the alderman is more than aware. So what do I need? Just about everything. And the only thing we have is a supply of bandages and green salvage to make herbal tea. We need salves to treat wounds, but more importantly, Aldawa leaves to cure disease." So our quest we're going to take on is to find Aldawa leaves. If you find this special item, then we'll be rewarded. We can do this quest as many times as we like. I don't think it said that for the wood quest. Maybe it did. The first tier 1 quest item that you find on your next journey is some twine threaded around some large rubbery leaves. So if we do this, as a reward we will gain 1 hope, 1 pity, and a bandage. I guess that is good. Alright, so I'm going to mark this down as a quest. I'm going to record over the back of this sheet that we have done the wood quest for Beric 1 time. Then I'll show you what we're going to do with the maps before going out again. I'm going to pause and bring you back in a second. Alright, that's all done. I have noticed that Nerida has a second quest, find cream fungus, but you can only take that quest on if you've already found some Aldawa leaves for her. So that's interesting that the quests are sort of locked and you can unlock them. But we've now got our new quest. Now, we do have a couple of permanent items here to deal with. So what we're going to do is we are going to copy them from this journey map to this near identical permanent features map. And we're going to give each one a letter. So those are both twisted oaks. And as you can imagine, as we explore the forest, this is going to gradually fill up with more and more permanent features. And then the next time you go into the forest, you mark those locations on, like so, A and B. So we're using letters instead of numbers there. And if we happen to go into those locations, then the twisted oak is the only thing that we can encounter there, or we can just move through. But we're going to go back out into the Dark Weald, and we're going to go out this way. So this is the first hex we're going to go into, and we're going to go straight back to rolling for the standard forest. Here we go. 7. Spiny vines, and these are not a permanent feature. The trees here are covered in an unusual plant that you know has only recently appeared in the forest. The thick black vine has huge spines running its length. Something has been caught in them. Roll a d6. 2. You are drawn to the black vines. Roll a d6. 5. If it is higher than your charm, you wake a few moments later, your arm painfully stuck in the vine. I'm pretty sure my charm is only 2. So yes, we're drawn into the vines and we awake with our arms stuck in, and we gain a minor wound as we pull free. So 1 minor wound gained. Let's keep going. We will just move out this way. Remember, we're going to be sticking around the standard forest because we're after a tier 1 quest item again. We're not going to be going into the dark forest on this occasion. So we're going to roll again. That was 33. Ooh, charging creature. Not a permanent feature. You make your way through the dense trees and hesitate as you hear crashing up ahead. A tree comes down not far from you and a shock wave kicks up debris. Then the sound of a stampede can be heard coming towards you. A large beast bursts through the trees. Defend yourself against a mutated bull. Roll a d6. If you roll under your survival stat, you heard the danger, and +2 to your attack roll in the first round. Okay, so our survival stat is 3. So are we going to be able to roll under a 3? Yes, we are. So our attack in the first round is at +2. See if I can remember that. So here is our mutated bull. It's actually pretty scary looking. It has a combat dice of d10, and remember that compares to my combat dice of d6, so it is more powerful than me, and a reserved dice of d6 compared to my reserved dice of d4. So I'm not going into this feeling particularly confident. We've got the same amount of wounds, because I've already taken 2, my death line is 10, so if I take 8 more minor wounds, I will snuff it. It's got a greater death line for major wounds than I have. I can only take 3 major wounds, it can take 4. Reward would be 2 horns, not sure what we would do with those, but we would have them. It's a bloated mound of a creature, crazed and charging through the forest. And it's got 2 trigger abilities. If it rolls a 7, it barges, rolls a d6, there's a risk of an extra wound, and if it rolls a 9, it stampedes, and it adds 3 to the combat roll for that particular round. Not feeling great about that. Not feeling mega confident. I've got a combat sheet. I've recorded that we've already got 2 minor wounds. I've recorded the death line for minor and major wounds for Morn and for the bull. And yeah, I think we've got to hope for a little bit of luck, really. Hope that somehow this goes our way. So we're going to roll a d6 for us and a d10 for the enemy. And then whoever rolls the highest number wins the round of combat. And obviously we can do some things to improve our chances. But here we go. And we're adding on +2 because we got that advantage in the encounter. There we go. A lovely bit of luck on the first round. Confidently beating the bull there. We rolled a 6. The bull rolled a 3. So we have won the first round. And even better than that, our roll is double the bull's roll. And that means the bull is going to receive a major wound. Creature major wound table, it is a D10 roll. 3, a deep cut. Your weapon cuts deep and blood flows. The enemy flinches and screams but fights on. It gains an extra minor wound and cannot use its reserve dice. That is fantastic. So it's gained a minor wound. I'll record that it's a deep cut, but I don't think we need to really. I've put it on the wrong side. I'll move that over to the foe's side. It's gaining a minor wound and a major wound, and I can cross out its reserve die because it is not going to get to use that. So that was a really good first round of combat. I can't imagine our luck is going to continue, but that was a nice way to start, I think. Another round of combat. And yes, that is very bad. That's very bad. The enemy has very much beaten me, beaten Morn. So that is double, which means we are potentially taking a major wound, which we do not want to do. But I'm not sure we're going to be able to mitigate it, because there's no point in using our reserve dice, because our reserve dice is a D4, so that's not going to get us up to a 9, is it? We could add on one of our stats, but none of those are going to get us up to a 9 as well. Our stat would need to be 8 in order to get us up to a 9. So I don't think there's anything we can do. I think we've got to take a major wound. So our last hope is doing our armour save. We have got a buckler, which gives us +1 on an armour save. Oh, the total's got to be over the enemy's successful combat dice roll. And that's not going to work, because you use your combat dice, which is D6, adding on +1, so the most we're going to get is a 7. So our armour is not going to save us from this brutal strike. And we are going to take a major wound, which is super unfortunate. And this is going to be bad. And getting major wounds healed is difficult. It's a D8 roll. 1. A deep cut. Your arm has been sliced, the skin opened out like a bloody mouth, and the pain is intense. You'll need to be stitched before you can re-enter the forest. You must move directly back to Grimscar. If you survive the combat, unless you have a bandage to bind it closed, you will still need to have it stitched. One combat die is downsized. Once stitched, you need to find some healing balm to remove the major wound. Make a note. Ugh. Well, we've got some healing balm, thankfully. Gain 1 butcher and lose 1 hope point. Oh my goodness. Also roll on the savage scar table. Really gone badly. I thought it was going to go well then. Our dice is going down to a D4 for this round of combat. We're going to try and run away from this combat now, by the way. Gain 1 butcher, lose 1 hope. So butcher's going up to 6. Hope is going down to 4. And we're going to try and extract ourselves from this combat. I don't think this is going to work out. Brutal. This can be a brutal game. So we can flee, but there's no roll to flee. There's just a negative effect, which is you lose 1 hope and you gain 2 wear. Do we try and fight on against this brutal creature? Well, no, because we're now rolling a D4 and it's rolling a D10. It would be a bad idea, so I think we're going to have to do it. We're going to lose another hope. We're going to gain 2 wear, going up to 4 wear, and we're going to flee back into location 1. So back into here, and then I think we can just move back into the town. Super rough. Okay, so we're back in the town. We did not complete the quest. And we're going to visit Martha Shaw, the town herbalist, and she can stitch wounds. If it was a major wound that required anything other than stitching, we would have to do a quest in order to get the wound sorted. But for a wound that just requires stitching, we can pay 1 copper coin and she will stitch it. If you do not have a copper coin, you can gift her a gift of equivalent value. Well, we do have a copper coin. So we're going to gift her our copper coin, or give her our copper coin rather. So that takes us down to 17 copper coins. I never copied the major wound onto the sheet, but had we have done, we would now erase that as she has healed it for us. Oh, and it said we needed to use a healing balm to finish it as well, didn't it? So we have used one of our healing balms. I think that could have gone worse. Well, could it have gone worse? It went pretty bad, didn't it? We lost hope, we gained wear, we lost a healing balm, we lost a copper coin. Yeah, it went quite badly. Okay, I'm going to erase the stuff from this sheet, and we will go out into the Dark Weald again and hope to have some better luck than we did with the mutated bull. Didn't like that mutated bull, wasn't a fan. Let's see if we can have another go. Alright, here we go, back on the forest table. We'll go out this way this time. It doesn't really make any difference. 90. So we've encountered some sharp ferns. That sounds painful. You come upon an area of sharp ferns. They are dead, their rigid fronds petrified and black. Roll a d6. Please don't roll low. 4. 3 to 4. The ferns catch your clothing and brush your skin. Gain 1 wear. Let's keep going. Roll on the table again. 97. Some high rolls. Withered trees. The trees in this section have become grey and withered, their branches leaning low, making you stoop as you try and find a way through the sick forest. The earth appears as if ash, apart from one section which you approach. Suddenly a slithering mass rises up from it and lumbers towards you. Roll a d6. 2. If you roll under your survival stat, you spotted the danger and gain +2. That's good, right? Survival 3. Yay. So we gain +2 to the attack in the first round, but we have got a combat. And then some stuff if we survive. So let's have a look at the slithering mass. Okay, it's a little bit... Oh god, it's got a d8 reserve dice, but at least a d6 for its combat dice, which is the same as ours. So better than the bull. I'll just pause and get ourselves a combat sheet set up. Alright, so the slithering mass, combat dice of d6, same as ours. Reserve die of d8, better than ours, but fewer minor wounds than us, and the same amount of major wounds. And we've got a trigger ability on a 2 or a 5. Talk about those if they happen and if I remember. We gain a reputation as a reward, that's pretty good. A mass of earth and tar that rises up and slithers towards you. Right, so we're both rolling d6. And I've just done a little reminder for myself on the trigger abilities. I think I've probably missed them a few times. Those trigger abilities happen when that enemy rolls that number exactly, regardless of whether or not they have won that round of combat. So I'll try and remember that, because a 2 or a 5, that's bound to happen. So I'm going to roll the blue dice for me, the red dice for the enemy. Here we go. That is not the greatest start. Wait a minute, I'm flipping my dice around. That is a good start. So Morn has rolled exactly double what the slithering mass has rolled. Now the difference is equal to or less than half of the enemy's reserve dice. The reserve dice is a d8. The difference is equal to or less than 4. So that means the enemy is going to roll their reserve dice, which is a bit unfortunate, but at least we're getting it out of the way. Make sure those are out of the way. And they have rolled an 8. So that is pretty bad news. That means that the enemy has got a total of 10 and we have got a total of 4. Oh, and we should have done the trigger ability. I already missed one. Falling Earth, which triggers on a roll of 2 for the enemy. Downsize your reserve die for this combat. Okay, we're already at the minimum reserve die and I wasn't planning on using my reserve die anyway. Now, at the moment, we would be receiving a major wound because their total, the enemy's total, is double or higher my attack roll. Mine was 4. The total for the enemy is 10. So that means we would receive a major wound. So I think I need to use one of my psyche stats in order to boost my total. Okay, so I can use either my rage, my hatred, butcher, patience, pity or hope scores, add that value on, and then we would have to roll on the consequence table, but the number would be increased. Now if we increase our number so that it matches, then the round of combat would be a draw. And we could totally do that. The slithering mass is on 10, I'm on 4. If I used my hatred, butcher or pity, then that would increase us to 10 and it would be a draw. Now something worth bearing in mind is that the rage, hatred and butcher, if we were to use one of those, we'd have to increase it by 1, and our hatred and our butcher score is starting to get quite high at the moment, and if we use pity we'd have to decrease that, but our pity score seems quite high, so maybe we'll use our pity. So pity will go down to 5. This is after we've used it, so we're adding on 6, so we're on 10 now as well. It is a draw, but we've got to roll on the pity consequence table, which is a d6. Let's roll a separate d6 so I can keep those values there. Here we go. 5. You see the enemy through pitying eyes. Gain 1 pity instead of losing 1. Also lose 1 hatred and 1 rage. I think that's good. So our pity is actually going to go up to 8 rather than down to 5. And our hatred and our rage are going to both go down by 1. Fantastic. And we're now drawing now. And that means the whole round of combat is a washout, basically. It is a draw. We're going to go back to the start. But I didn't mark off the fact that the foe has now used their reserve dice. So that's good. They can't use their reserve dice again. So we can remove that, we can remove that, and we're back to square one. We're rolling a d6. The slithering mass is rolling a d6. And let's find out who comes out on top. Hey, that is us coming out on top. Good, good, good. However, the trigger ability of the slithering mass, falling earth, downsize your reserve die for this combat. Well, we don't need to use our reserve die anyway. That's fantastic. And our attack die is more than double, or is double or more, the slithering mass's attack die. And that means a major wound for the slithering mass. So we'll roll on this. It's a d10 table. 10. Savage chop. Your weapon breaks flesh and hits bone. The enemy flinching away, and you just manage to hold on to your weapon. The enemy gains an extra minor wound and downsizes one reserve die. Well, they've used their reserve die already, so we can just mark one major wound and one minor wound. I'll write what the major wound was, although I'm not sure that's necessary. Cool. That was good. Let's keep going. Another round of combat. I should have also... That's bad, obviously. I should have also marked off pity on our combat sheet here, because we can only use that once. Was it pity we used? Yes. So that's the one use of pity that we have got. The enemy is ahead here, which is annoying, but we've got our reserve die. Our reserve die is a d4. Where are you, d4? There's one. There we go. Here we go. Hopefully we won't roll a 1. We've rolled a 2. So that brings our score up to 5 versus the slithering mass's 4. So we are ahead. Not double, so it's not a major wound, but we do get a minor wound. So another minor wound done to the enemy. Let's keep going. Hey, and that is a solid attack there. So 4 versus 1 is definitely us coming out on top. We'll roll a d10 to see what major wound the creature is taking. 2. Ripped limb. The attack rips the enemy's limb from the socket. It howls but fights on, but it downsizes one combat die. That is awesome news, because that means the enemy is no longer fighting with a d6, but is now fighting with a rubbish d4. And also, one more major wound means that we are going to be successful, because the death line for the foe, as a reminder, is 3, and we have done 2 major wounds already. Here we go. And there we go. 6 versus 3, so my die is double the enemy's die. That's going to do one final major wound, and the slithering mass is defeated. That was nice. Nice to have a success after that brutal attack with the bull. As a reward, we gain 1 reputation, so our reputation is going up to 3. And then if we go back to the original encounter, which was, what was it? Was it the sharp ferns? It wasn't the sharp ferns. I didn't write down what it was. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. It's the withered trees. That's right. Let me just write withered trees on our map sheet. Ridding this place of this creature means you gain 1 hope and 1 survival point. Ooh, everything is turning up morn. 1 hope up to 4. 1 survival point up to 4. The creature was feeding off the area, and where it had settled, the earth has been turned over. Roll on the revealed from below table, adding +1. So the revealed from below table is a D12. We're adding on +1. 8, 9. It looks like the remains of a backpack. Inside you find some rope, D6 copper coins, and 2 D6 WT, which is the lower value coin. D6 copper coins, 3, takes us up to 20, and 2 D6 TC, WT, so that's 9 of those things. That was pretty decent. Let's have more of that kind of enemy, please. So we're going to keep on going. We will go this way. We're going to roll on our table again. 71. Ooh, it's got dark. Torture scene, not a permanent location. So just a reminder, this game is not really for the whole family. You notice a woman kneeling at a tree stump. As you move closer, you see her palms have been nailed to the top of the stump. Roll a D6. 6. Her head whips up and she begs you for help. You release her hands and she thanks you. She gives you a small wooden box, and inside is some moss. Roll on the unusual moss table and gain 1 reputation. Nice, my reputation is rocking up. Famous last words, isn't it? But we're up to 4 now. And we need to roll on the unusual moss table. Probably my favourite of the odd tables. Have we got any moss yet? No, I think when I was playing off camera, I ended up with some unusual moss. Let's find out what we've got. 2. Bloodied moss. The red colour that drew your attention is in fact blood. It is covered with it, making it useless. Oh, okay. So it's crappy blood moss. Never mind. We live to fight another day. On into another location. 3. Quite low in the table. A tied up man. Not a permanent location. So I guess theoretically the woods could be littered with tied up men. There is a man tied to one of the trees here. The air is thick and you smell glue. You approach and see he is still alive but unconscious. He is dressed in merchant clothing and his hands are bound in a sticky black glue that you realise has dripped down along the tree bark. Roll a d6. 5. Getting some high rolls, which is good. 5 to 6. His lids spring open and his eyes burst, spraying black ink in a wide arc. That's not that good, is it? The body slumps and you look closer and find he has a pouch containing 4 copper coins. Gain 1 pity. Bleak. But we get some money. 17. Massive trunk. One of the trees here was once a giant specimen, but it is old, and only its massive, cracked trunk remains. There is a hollow inside that might conceal something. You are drawn to it. Roll a d6. 2. That's probably bad. A single severed head is in the hollow. You carefully lift it out and bury it. Gain 1 pity. We're going through the roof on pity here. Is there a max? I think there might be a max to these. Maybe 10 is the max. There's no mention of a max. There's a minimum. They can't go below 0. So I guess we're all good. We'll push on, I think, into location number 6. 62. Concealed ditch. There is a ditch here between some trees. Roll a d6. 6. Got to be good, right? 5 to 6. The land has collapsed here. No matter the origin of the ditch, something lies at the bottom. Roll d6. Before you roll, you can spend 1 survival point to increase your total by 1. I think my survival is a bit low. Although we did just gain a survival, so shall we use that to give us a slight advantage? So we'll go back down to 3 survival. 4, 5. It's a mound of rotting leaves and earth. Roll on the revealed from below table. So that didn't really help us much, that sacrifice there. Revealed from below is D12. 12. Good news. It appears someone has buried a chest here. You lift it to the surface and are amazed to find a tier 1 quest item within, along with a pouch of 2d6 copper coins. 8 copper coins. That is brilliant. And we've got our leaves that we needed for our quest. So that's 8 copper coins, taking us up to 32. Pretty sweet. And we've got our tier 1 quest item. So that's great. We can go back to town and claim our reward. So we might as well do that, I suppose. We could go back through the B and the A, the permanent locations. I think we can choose to ignore those if we want, but I'm not 100% sure. Is it worth risking a final hex before we go back? Or am I going to encounter something terrifying that will make me regret that decision? Who knows? 87. Dark Recess. The trees are well spaced here, and where the land dips down in amongst them there is an overhanging rock formation. Beneath this is a dark recess. You have to pass it to continue, and as you do something happens. Okay. 6. Really lucky rolling, because that could have been bad. I can see there's some amalgam beast if you roll 1 to 3. You hear some water and realise there is a pool in the recess. You look closer and find a dead body lying next to it. You think she might have been hiding here and perished. Roll on the found body table. I don't think we've rolled on that before. That's a D6 table. 5. The body is long dead, but beneath it is a pack. Roll D6 to search it. 5 again. You find studded leather braces. Look at page 34 for details. Studded leather braces worth 75 copper coins. Wow, that is awesome. +2 to armour saves. And that is for the torso. So we've got a buckler. No, is that armour? Yes. Is that what that says? Buckler? My writing is awful. Yes, it does say buckler. And that's on the arm, the buckler. I don't know why I've written a W there. Never mind. So this is on our torso. It is a studded leather bracer. +2. Which means, I mean, that's the best we can get. I mean, we can add a wooden shield as well. But that means that we now have +3 to our armour saves, which is huge. That makes me feel like I almost am confident enough to consider maybe going into the Dark Forest, the next level. Only maybe, because I'm still aware that that bull almost destroyed me, and that was a standard forest encounter. Anywho, we are back in town, and we are going to go and complete our quest. It's the Algawa leaves. When you return to Grimscar and give them to Nerida, She rewards you with warm praise. That's nice. I would have taken some money. Gain 1 hope, 1 pity, and a bandage. There is something else you could gather for me. So we're up to 11 pity, which I think is pretty good news, and 5 hope, and a bandage. I think, yeah, bandages help with major wounds, maybe? Yeah, not too sure. It would be good to clear these minor wounds that we've got. The next quest here, the next thing we can help Nerida with, is finding cream fungus. However, that is a tier 2 quest item. So I'm just going to make a note that we have done this first quest, and we will go and get another quest from someone else, I think, on this occasion. I'm still not quite ready to go into the next level of forest. Alright, so I've written the quest we have completed on the back of the sheet. I have cleared our quest section, and we need to heal those minor wounds and get a new quest. So I think if we go to the herbalist, oh, she stitches major wounds. Okay, I thought the herbalist could just heal us for money, but that does not seem to be the case. The only healing that I can find is by visiting Neville Hawthorne at the market, and Neville will sell us rations for 5 WT. We do have 2 rations, and I'm not sure how they are used yet. Let me know in the comments down below if you know how rations are used. Can I consume them? Yeah, not sure. Let me know. But he will also sell us a pot of healing balm for 1 copper coin. So I think we will buy that, taking us down to 31. I'm going to immediately use it to take me down to 1 minor wound, and that's all good. Then we need a new quest, and we might as well stick around in the market and do it here. So we're talking to Neville Foley, who is the market foreman, Foley Eastley. Foley places a hand on your shoulder and you jump, as you had forgotten he was there, and he pulls you to one side once you have finished looking at the clothes. There is something else you could help with if you're interested. New quest. Supplying the market stall. Help Foley help Stanway Beaumont. You may do this quest as many times as you like. Foley points out an old man standing at what would appear to be a sparsely stocked market stall. That is Stanway Beaumont, and he's an old hawker who has had that hardware stall for many years now, but he's threatening to give it up, and that will not do. What happens if he does? The others might follow suit. I have been instructed by the alderman to try and keep the market going, which is no easy task, I can tell you. It's a matter of morale, apparently, not giving up and believing in a future. In these dark times, perhaps, my market brings hope to the people. I know some folk who come here just to chat and catch up. Nothing wrong with that. He pauses and rubs his eyes as if tired. I haven't been sleeping too well recently. It's the sounds in the night. He appears to shudder. In any case, if you find a few items out there in the forest and bring them back, I'll pay you some coin, and then I can give them to Stanway to sell on his stall. The first tier 1 quest item that you find on your next journey into the Dark Weald is as follows. You see there is a pack here, and inside a selection of stone tools. Cool, and that's going to hopefully earn us a decent amount of copper coins by the looks of things. Brill, so we've got a new quest ready to go, and I think that's probably a good place to pause for a little bit. I'm going to leave it there for Grimscar for now. I think we will come back to it at some point. Let me know whether you've been enjoying this one. I like it quite a bit. It's a lot of game for just one little book, and a nice imaginative and foreboding spooky setting. I like the Dark Weald. I like forest set adventures generally speaking anyway. Forests are spooky, and I say that as someone who has slept alone in forests, just about not freaking out. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that, folks. If you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching all the way to the end, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.